What does that mean? That means if you had loaned some guy real money or gold or whatever, silver, and at the end of it, he came to pay you back in this ersatz money, this fiat money, these greenbacks. You say, I don't want. This is just paper. It's got paper and ink on it. Now you destroyed the paper by putting all this ink on it with all these numbers and these symbols and God we trust and whatever. I don't want that. I want real money. The debtor would say to you, take a look, get your magnifying glass and look what it says here in little tiny print. It says legal tender for all debts, public and private. That means you got to take it. And if you don't take it, that's it. It's the end of the debt. I don't owe you anything. That's what they did. That's what greenbacks are. And that's what so-called Federal Reserve notes are.
Aren't the Federal Reserve notes now simply promises to pay, but not final settlement?
To pay what? To pay more Federal Reserve notes. Which are promises to pay what?
That's what I want to know.
Well, I can tell you, it's very clear. More Federal Reserve notes. No, I mean, it says the 20 I have. I wish I had taken it out of my file before we spoke. It says payable to the bearer on demand. $20 in gold. Oh yeah, it's a promise to pay. A promise to pay what? To pay another promise. It's like musical chairs.
Indeed.
Right? The music is playing and the notes are circulating, and when the music stops, there's one less chair. Except when this music stops, there aren't going to be any more chairs.
How do we fast track using the gold clause? And are you concerned the gold clause will go away?
What do you mean by go away?
Be overruled or overtaken?
No, I don't think so, because gold is, and I don't think there'll be a confiscation either, because when they did that in 34, gold was part of the monetary system. And I think to confiscate gold now when it's not part of the monetary system is ironic. It wouldn't, I don't think it would wash.
But gold is used in monetary...
No, it's not part of the U.S. monetary system anymore. It's divorced completely from... That's the problem, isn't it?
Well, I think I have to beg to differ with you on this, and I'll tell you why. Not frontally, and certainly not in the essence of how society operates, but there is gold and silver manipulation. That's what GATA was formed for, to deal with that.
And Ted Butler and all that.
But we don't use it in the day-to-day. Is that what you mean?
Well, it's more. We don't use it in that we don't use it day-to-day. It's not part of the monetary system. It doesn't back the currency.
Correct.
Right?
Well, it's interesting.
I mean, Ted Butler, you're familiar with...
Yes, of course.
Ted Butler makes the point, and it's a good one, that even if Comex folded, and all these future contracts were proved to be, as he believes, and I believe, to be spurious and to be backed by more promises, by the way, by more Federal Reserve notes, it wouldn't be a cataclysmic financial event. And I think the same is true of gold, except that there would be a flight of paper into metals, whether it was gold or copper or minor stocks or whatever. But it's not part of the monetary system the way it was in Roosevelt's time and before, where it was actually, paper was actually redeemable into gold. In that sense, it's not part officially of the monetary system.
How is the Gold Clause book doing, and are people still purchasing it, or is it more kind of hidden and people don't know that it's around still?
It's the latter. It was published in 80, so that's almost 30 years ago.
Interesting.
It's available on a print-on-demand basis. I think it's either iUniverse or...
Looks like Barnes & Noble has it, and
Amazon.
You can,
and if you go to my website and go to the button that says Books, and then just scroll down to close to the bottom, you can click on it, and I think Barnes & Noble has it. It's with it was published again or republished print-on-demand by either Ex Libris or iUniverse. I forget which one. I think iUniverse. But it's available.
You said that you do, I want to switch here for a moment. You said that you train lawyers and coach lawyers and get lawyers up to speed about the Constitution. Do you also do that with regard to the gold contracts and gold clause?
Well, I've consulted with lawyers. I get a call every once in a while from a lawyer who says, a client of mine turned up the lease on their building. And the lease was made in 1901 or something. It was a 99-year lease, and this was a couple of years ago. And they wondered whether the gold clause works still. Or I'd get a call from somebody who said that their father or grandfather died, and they found an old bond somewhere. Matter of fact, I'm looking at my copy of the first edition of the gold clause, and the designer, the publisher, used as the cover a green bond from the Western Maryland Railroad Company.
Wow. And
it's entitled First Mortgage 4%, 50-year, quote, registered gold bond. So, when a railroad sold bonds, they became debtors, and the people who bought the bonds became creditors. And right here, smack on the cover of this book, it says registered gold bond. But to answer your question, it's available. I think Ed Vieira's book is certainly going to eclipse it. I don't know what he's written, but if it's brand new, as apparently it is, it's going to eclipse my work. It was very generous and gracious of him to acknowledge that I was the first one.
Yeah, he did, actually.
I know you told me.
I was really impressed.
I was very grateful to hear that.
Most
of the people not only don't acknowledge previous work, but they steal it.
I've seen a lot of that.
Oh, yeah, particularly on the Internet. Well, that article I wrote, I mentioned to you about, which was the seminal article on how Roosevelt stole the gold, I wrote for the Brooklyn Law Review when I was a faculty member in 1973, and somebody's using it on the Internet to raise money.
Wow. What a backhanded compliment.
Yeah, exactly. But by the way, that's a very interesting article. And again, if
say the name of it again, please.
Well, it's called. Let me think what it's called. How Americans Lost the Right to Own Gold and Became Criminals in the Process. But the way to find it is to go on my blog.
It's on your blog. I see it right now.
Yeah. Okay. If you go on my blog, there's a link to it.
Yes, I see it.
I think the link.
You have a lot of great articles on your blog.
I think the link is to the. Thank you. I think the link is to the people who stole it. Actually, it was easy to link to them to a 1973 issue of the Brooklyn Law Review.
Henry Mark Holzer, what do you think is going to happen now with regard to your work in the Constitution? What are you hoping to happen?
I'm hoping to inform and enlighten enough people about the true Constitution, what's happened to it, and why, so that they can be effective voices for a resurgence of true constitutionalism. That's what I'm trying to do with these efforts. And all I can do is I'm only one person. All I can do is put it out there and hope other people pick it up and run with it. A quarterback can only throw the ball. Somebody's got to be at the other end to catch it and run with it.
Indeed.
And that's what I'm hoping happens.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have been interviewing Henry Mark Holzer, who is the author of The Gold Clause, What Is It, and How to Use It Profitably, and many other books. He is an expert, not only teacher, but practitioner, writer, thinker, researcher in constitutional law and everything you want to know about the Constitution. You can reach him at henrymarkholzer.com. There'll be links on the site. And I really want to thank you for taking time out of your day. I look forward to being in your class and learning more about what I need to know about the Constitution that I don't know and how it will help me in the present and into the future of my life. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.